We believe truth is larger than any one book or way. Religion and science go hand in hand. Integrity requires freedom of conscience. Diversity is something we celebrate. In the struggle for justice, we come alive. Our highest aspiration and calling is love. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here. As we light our chalice, may we remember those who have come before us. As we continue their work, let us leave for those who would follow a world of peace, love, and freedom. Once again, welcome to West Shore Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Elizabeth Gerenser, your worship associate today. We're so glad you're here this morning, and we're so glad to have those of us who are joining us from home. Welcome to you also. We have many good things happening in our community. Check out the West Shore Weekly in your order of service to learn about events coming up and how you can get involved. We are excited to welcome our guest speaker this morning, Maxwell Matewere. Mr. Matewere is a legal and crime prevention expert on transnational and organized crimes in Malawi, Southern Africa. He is a founder of Safe Homes for Victims of Human Trafficking and Child Protection Organizations in Malawi. His work involves the management of transnational crime in Malawi, including victims of human trafficking. He is a fellow of Stanford University and received the 2020 Heroes Award from the U.S. government for the actions he has taken against human trafficking. He works tirelessly to improve Malawi's anti-trafficking response and works with victims of trafficking and their families. Welcome, Mr. Matewere. Let us now greet each other warmly. While we're doing this, children and youth are dismissed to their classes. I encourage you to look for someone you haven't met before. Introduce yourself to them and say hello. Remember to offer a wave to the folks joining us from home.
Good morning. My name is Tom Smith. In 1965, I served as a Peace Corps science teacher in a small town in Malawi, a country in southern Africa, about the size of Ohio. There I became good friends with the engineer in charge of the local power station. It's always good to know the man that makes your electricity. His name was Titus Matewere, the father of Maxwell, who is with us today. That friendship is now a 58-year relationship between our families. Maxwell was here as a younger visitor in the year 2000, and his parents were able to come and visit us in some years past. Let me tell you a bit about Malawi. Malawi's a landlocked country with very few natural resources other than its wonderful, friendly people. 80% of its 20 million people are rural subsistence farmers, meaning that most of what they grow or produce is used by their family or sold at the local market. Very little is left for exporting from Malawi to earn the hard currency necessary to import the oil, the cars, the solar panels, whatever, that come from outside. Let me give you some statistical examples without boring you too much. America has a huge economy. Our gross national product, our GDP, the total value of all the goods and services sold, is huge. We have a huge population, over 300 million. If you divide that GDP by the number of people in our country, you get a number over $60,000 apiece. Well, multiply that times 300 plus million people. You can see that's why we can afford a budget of $1 trillion and we can afford to send somebody to the moon. Compare that to a country like Guatemala, a country from which many people seem to prefer coming to America. Guatemala has a GDP per person of $8,000. And a smaller population. So obviously that government can do fewer things for its people. Malawi has a GDP per person of $1,200, one of the lowest in the world. And its main source of export income, the money that's needed to bring in these goods that would help in manufacturing and so on and creating more jobs, is mainly agricultural products, mainly tobacco, an export which obviously is going to be declining in the future. Malawi is a beautiful country. We always encourage people to visit it, but they usually go to Kenya or Ngorongoro Crater or the Serengeti something first, but then they end up and see the game parks in Malawi and visit the people in Malawi and love it. It's the friendliness of the Malawians and its hardworking people have given it the name of the warm heart of Africa. Family is very important in Malawi, and social networking is very extensive. The 20% of the population that are not subsistence farmers are highly educated, well-traveled, and very aware of trends and politics in the world. We were very interested to hear our friends in Malawi say that they watched the inauguration of President Biden on television. So they do know what's going on here. What do you do if you're a person in Malawi like Maxwell Matewere, who really cares about an issue like human trafficking, has seen some of the results of this, and you want to get attention and resources from a government that really is struggling just to keep the lights on or ease the suffering from the latest drought or hurricane. And incidentally, the latest hurricane is hitting right now and is just starting to pour an unbelievable amount of water into land in Malawi that can't handle the flooding. In 1995, Maxwell began the non-governmental organization, I guess we would say a 501c3, called Eye of the Child, in the way that most similar efforts begin. Maxwell defined his mission, then raised awareness, partnered with those having similar interests, caused direct actions to take place, actually got laws passed or changed, and then sought to raise more funds to increase the efforts that he could do. The staff at Eye of the Child provide free legal support, counseling services, and protection to children and mothers affected by abuse, conflict, violence, and exploitation in Malawi. In some cases, children were facing organ removal, child marriage, or sexual abuse. Most cases involve rescuing children from child labor trafficking. In 2018, my wife Pam and I spent a whole day with Maxwell as he attempted to rescue and fly back home 15 boys being trafficked through Malawi from Ethiopia. It was an eye-opening experience, believe me. Our church has been fighting human trafficking since West Shore Allies Against Human Trafficking Task Force was founded in 2008 and led by Mary Jane Hansen. Now, Eye of the Child is on the front line in Malawi, fighting to prevent the injustice that occurs when one person takes advantage of another's vulnerability. Therefore, West Shore's Ways and Means Council has voted to make Eye of the Child this month's recipient of our Sunday offering. We appreciate your generosity. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Our reading today is called In the Midst of a World by Rebecca Ann Parker. In the midst of a world marked by tragedy, and beauty, there must be those who bear witness against unnecessary destruction and who, with faith, rise and lead in freedom with grace and power. There must be those who speak honestly and do not avoid seeing what must be seen of sorrow and outrage, or tenderness and wonder. There must be those whose grief troubles the water while their voices sing and speak refreshed words. There must be those whose exuberance rises with lovely energy that articulates earth's joys. There must be those who are restless for respectful and loving companionship among human beings, whose presence invites people to be themselves without fear. There must be those who gather with the congregation of remembrance and compassion, draw water from old wells, and walk the simple path of love for neighbor. There must be communities of people who seek to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God, who call on the strength of soul force to heal, transform, and bless life. There must be religious witness. May we be those religious witnesses. Amen. Let's all take a deep breath together and breathe out. Settle comfortably into your seat. Close your eyes if you would like, or leave them open. Relax your neck, your shoulders, and arms. Breathe into your chest, relaxing your abdomen so you can take a full breath. Release the breath. Relax your legs and feet. Imagine roots growing from your feet through the floor of the church into the ground. Send everything that distresses you down through those roots into the earth. Know that Mother Earth will take care of whatever you release to her. Listen to these words as you continue to rest comfortably. Spirit of life in us and around us, here is our chance once again to live like we wish the world would live. May we find inside ourselves the courage to be who we are. May we know when it is time to listen and when it is time to speak. May we trust ourselves to be the ones to find the words that need to be said, or to do what needs to be done. May we trust one another and know there are many ways to go through life. May we know that though we cannot change some of what life gives to us, we can choose how we deal with what we are given. We are coming into our power, and together we can make possible justice and love. We are all connected. We depend upon one another more than we know. We are one body. Take another deep breath. Begin to bring your awareness back to this room. Become aware of your physical surroundings. Move or stretch as you need to. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Blessed be. And now our speaker, Mr. Maxwell Matewere.
Good morning. It is an honor for me and for my family to stand before you here at Western Shore Unitarian Universalist Church, where values of diversity, acceptance, and compassion are deeply rooted. As I look around, I can sense the warmth and kindness of this community, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to share my experience, indeed, my thoughts about life of faith and hope from a Malawian perspective, using practical example. Before I do that, I wanted to talk about what I know and appreciate of this church. The church motto that talks about one many path speaks deeply to me, as it highlights the importance of respecting and embracing the different spiritual journeys. I never knew that this day would come when I shall be speaking before this church, and in fact, in an American church. This is a Malawian speaking in an American church. It speaks a lot to the motto of this church, where you saw someone else without a voice and recognize the achievement of that someone, to celebrate those achievements as an individual, as we continue to search the truth and meaning. For that, I am very, very grateful. Last time I was here was way back 23 years ago. Pretty young then. I was in America, Washington, D.C., coming to fight the IMF and World Bank to cancel the debts that Malawi incurred. It was quite a huge debt. So my task that time was to reason up with this big institution that what they were doing was only helping out to bring more misery to Malawians. It was a big surprise to me that at that time they would recognize Malawi as one of the poorest countries in the world. But at the same time, they would send their military to Malawi to demand some payments of debts. It didn't make sense at all. So I was there to lobby for debt cancellation. As a tradition in Malawi, it was very important that I needed to visit Cleveland, to my family, to our family, and see my uncle and aunt, the Smith family. During my visit that time, just like as they have done today, they also made arrangement for me to come to this church. And at that time, very young as I was, I did ask quite a lot of questions to the Palm family. And they told me a lot about peace, liberty, and justice for all. Most of the things that I didn't know before. But I went back home, charged, determined to make a difference. I could see that vulnerable child in my eyes and feel the pain that child was going through. And I said, there shall never be a day when I, within my capacity, shall never or stop speaking about this child who is vulnerable. Another time, when I went back, I was working as the secretary for the prison reform group, and our duty was to lobby the release of foreigners in prison and women and those that were critically ill. But being a young person, I came across a huge number of children that were in prison because they committed what we call crime of need. They had no food to eat, and they decided to, I would say, maybe steal a maize because they wanted to survive, and were arrested for that. The only option which was there from law enforcement officers was to send to jail all these thousands of children and mix them with adults. And you know what happens in a prison that was built for 300 inmates? Visiting that prison, it had close to 2,000 inmates. And you have children as young as 9 years old. I went there to do a research on the state of juvenile justice in Malawi so that I could be able to understand the status. Talking to these children, I could feel what they were going through. They were subjected to harmful environment, violent environment, and very dangerous situation, not for children at all. This is the time when I said, regardless of what, I was in America, I went to this church, the way I was looking at things is now different. I committed to make sure that no child should ever be in prison. Talking to these children and their parents, I could clearly see that it was a population without any hope. It was a group without any faith. But listening to my courage, determination, and the words that were coming out from myself in terms of peace and justice for all, I motivated them, and I could see a renewed hope in all of them. Every day, they could call me to follow up what is happening to their situation. The children were desperate. They wanted to go home. Their parents were also desperate, looking for their children. Before that, nothing of that could happen. It was a normal. Everybody would accept that any child who is in conflict with the law, regardless of the offense they have committed, they must be sent to jail. As I thought about their situation, my faith and determination to do something grew. As they also fought through their case and also asking, when am I going to do something? Their hope was renewed and also grew with time. Before that, you could see children affected with so many types of diseases, malnourished at the point of death. With time, because of that hope and the faith they have built, they were just built, the healing started happening. A society which was full of, which was affected by anxiety, depression, with time started to heal because of the hope that was built in them. And at the same time, on the part of on my side, the more they follow, the more I think about them, the more I develop the spirit of loving people, regardless of their situation. I could understand, and that desire to do something helped me to be more innovative, helped me to be more organized, and helped me to get to know people and ask for help where I couldn't ask. I saw some hope, and I had also faith in the people. As a result of that relationship, the life full of hope and faith, I managed to rescue all the children, close to 700 at that time, out of prison. At the same time, based on the same approach, full of faith and hope, I also managed to help my government in Malawi introduce programs that now prohibit the force of children into marriage before they reach the age of 18. Before that, children are forced into marriage at the age of 9 or sometimes below. And this story does not end there. It goes on and on in terms of child labor, in terms of human trafficking, and also even children on the street. Now we have very effective structures, services, and systems that protect the interest of the child. I've decided to bring these issues to your attention because of the motivation that happened to me during my last visit. The determination that happened to me during my last visit. You saw someone else who was vulnerable, and the Smith family has been working with me throughout, supporting me throughout. They didn't go for a hero somewhere else. They chose to support someone else who was vulnerable to make a difference in his own community. If you come to Malawi now, every person, when they want to talk about human trafficking, they want to talk about child labor, child marriages, my name will be in forefront. I am now a global hero because of the work that started from this church. Again, as I reflect on my own personal characters, those that I modelized, I see quite a lot of similarities in the story of Moses and the burning bush. There is a discussion between Moses, God, and the slaves, where the slaves, just like the children that were in prison, had no hope at all. They were suffering. They went through some sort of a ruthless situation in Egypt. But because they cried, the story will tell us that God listened and spoke to Moses. But what is important, you would see that in this story, the Israelites, who were the slaves, upon coming to, in the presence of Moses, their faith was renewed. They had now renewed their hope. And every time they would go to Moses to demand whenever they were in problems, because they had built that faith. The situation which they were going through started healing because there was someone else to help them, to talk to them. We are living in an era where most of us, we are really worried. We don't know what will happen to our children because of the current situation. We have lost hope. But at the same time, our church do tell us that the environment we are living in now, we must take care of it for the benefit of our children and those to come. One wonders, how could we do that when we are hearing about these earthquakes killing thousands of people? At the same time, when you are hearing about biodiversity loss, the climate change, the nuclear holocaust, when we are hearing about all these pandemics that are happening, the COVID-19 and others, in Malawi now, Malawians are dying out of cholera. How can we make a difference? Do we really have any hope? Do our children really have any hope when we are going through all these disasters? The world needs us now than before. To appreciate the cries of the world, the cries of people like you, I would encourage you to read through the book written by Yuval Harari, who was also asked, what do you think about the future? His response was simple. He doesn't know. He doesn't know about the future. In other words, he was motivating us to base our thoughts around the future based our knowledge of the future and the management of the future based on the strength of the faith, our faith, and also our hope. However, what I know, based on my own experiences, the future cannot be at the mercy of the circumstances, like the disasters, the global warming, and others. The future is for us to manage. The future is for us to control. How do we do that? We need to free from all feelings of desperation and a capability to face the future. I have learned it through my work with the vulnerables. And those vulnerables need you most. And if you are in forefront, you are withdrawing because of these disasters, what will happen to the future? It is time now. We need to assume control of the future events based on our faith and hope. There was only one Maxwell Matewere, raised and supported by the Palm and Tom Smith family. There has to be a number of us. That's the future we need. We must cultivate the sense of faith and hope. One good example, I would ask you to watch the movie, The Matrix, where the protagonist, Neo, chose to trust Morpheus to take the red pill, demonstrating his belief in a higher power and willingness to follow a path that may be difficult or challenging. I've watched the movie a number of times. Other example I would like really for you to look at is the story that I've talked about, the story of Moses, where you look at a population that has lost hope, and based on the strength of faith, trust, leadership, there is hope, determination. The only way we can truly deal with the problems that we are facing now is to face the future based on the strength of our faith and hope. And it has to start from the church that raised the one talking to you, Maxwell, Matewere. It is the life that we want, the future that we want. I thank you for your attention.
Please join me in saying the chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we meet again. Now the benediction.
May we go back, challenged, to think outside the box and do things that others may view as impossible.